When you think I might be done, I'm not. With a comment when you were at a pool that they looked like whales. And this, frankly, is coming from a personal trainer who should know better.
I am here for the experts calling out people. I am here for John reading Jack and Sara for filth because he listed out their wrongdoings and called them out. And for Sara and Jack, their lack of self-awareness is shocking. It is shocking. It is baffling to think that someone can be that grown and still not be able to take responsibility for their actions. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by, to girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight, Australia, Season 11, Episode 25. Oh, I wonder what this episode is going to bring. I can't wait for the drama. Anyway, you have Jade and Ridge. They're on a high. They've been on a high since they met at the altar. They were attracted to one another. And irregardless of Ridge's other persona and the silly stuff, she was able to sort of appreciate his good qualities. And I think he must have been doing such a great job that she felt comfortable enough to introduce her daughter to him. And he seemed to really take it very well, and they seemed to get on very well. So they are on a high. I'm pleasantly surprised. That Ridge has actually been able to carry and conduct himself in such a way that has sort of provided comfort and reassurance for Jade enough to have her introduce her child, because that's a big deal. We don't want to minimize that. You have Tim and Lucinda. They are on a high. Well, Lucinda is still on a high. Tim feels uncomfortable. I don't think he's used to getting positive feedback or compliments, because every time Lucinda compliments him, it's like someone is punching him. You can sort of see him flinch, and it's like a lot of damage was done to Tim. This is why his friend was crying and saying, this man has been broken down and he's gone through a lot. This is why he reacts the way he does. So to see the fact that he still appreciates Lucinda and how she stood beside him and how she provided him a safe space to allow him to have this breakthrough was amazing. And the fact that she still continues to compliment him, I love that. You have, Tim is still reeling from the revelation that Sara cheated. Am I surprised she cheated? Nah. We all were suspicious. If you've listened to some of my reviews, was always questioning why the sudden turnaround. Why go from, I don't like him, to suddenly you're all over him and he's the best thing since sliced bread. I think this, I said this in my last review as well. I think Sara was entertaining her ex, and then at their final meetup, I think the fact that she told him she was on the show and she got married to this guy, he decided to take a step back, and because he told her that they were done, this is why she's gone all in on Tim. Otherwise, there's no justification as to her sudden turnaround from not wanting to spend time with him to suddenly she wants to spend time with him. It only leaves me with the belief or the suspicion that the ex said we're done, and so she needed somebody else, and she saw Tim was available and she decided to go all in on Tim and see if she could make it work. That's my only thought, because it doesn't make sense why she suddenly changed her opinion. Tim sadly is broken. He is trying his best to move forward, but it's going to be difficult. The fact that he was expecting her to apologize or say something or check on him, I don't think she has the capacity for that. And for Jaden and Eden to still be talking about it, it's like, please stay out of this. This has nothing to do with you. You are the reason things have exploded. Yes, Sara is wrong for cheating, but the way you handled it was terrible. The way you used your own grief or your own previous experience from having your partner cheat on you, you sort of use that as a whiplash to sort of get Sara to admit to cheating and to get her to sort of give responses that would satisfy your anger or your feelings of being betrayed. Instead of you allowing Tim to speak his truth, it became about Eden and Jaden, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. I really don't know. Everybody else is still reeling. They can't understand. And they're very disheartened and sad and feel sorry for Tim, because nobody truly believes that he deserved this. I don't think he deserved it. I don't think anyone feels like he deserved it, because he's really tried his best for this marriage. So you have Tori lamenting about Jack calling Tristan a whale. And for me, it's like, so this is what got under your skin. The fact that he called someone a whale, the fact that he said muzzle your wife, or the fact that he said shut up didn't irritate you in any way. I feel like it's strategic. I think she knows this is a lot of damage, and this will have, this will have fallout that will last for a long time, because he's a personal trainer and it won't be received. He could talk his way out of the muzzle your wife, or he could talk his way out of, shut up, but there's no way he can talk about or talk his way out of where the whales are at the pool, because this is what he does for a living. He's supposed to be empowering people. So I don't get the fact that she's more offended by that than she is that her friend was insulted. So I'm not buying it. I feel like it's just a tactic to try and get herself out of trouble, because she knows that Jack has got himself in a sticky situation and she doesn't want to be in that situation with him. So she's taking a couple of steps back to try and sort of repair her image, or sort of avoid the negative impact of Jack's comments. That's just my opinion. You have Tristan and Cassandra. Apparently Tristan is saying he's falling in love with Cassandra, and for me, I understand where Cassandra is coming from. It's a little too late, really. It's a little too late, because she really waited for him and was really invested in this and really kept asking him to sort of make a move. She kept complimenting him. And sadly, by the time he decided to make a move, it was too late. The train had left the station. And so there's nothing she can do. I give her credit for wanting to write leave, because if you know you don't have any feelings for someone, and if you know that there's no chance that you're going to develop feelings for that person, then the best thing is to leave them alone. Don't break their heart further. Yes, he will be heartbroken when he sees that she said leave, but at the end of the day, she has to do what's in her best interest, and he has to do what's in his best interest and look after himself. And that's all you can ask for. As sad as it may be, you can't blame Cassandra for this, because if she had done that right at the start, then you would say she's at fault. I hope Cassandra and Tim, there's nothing there. I've said this before, because of the way she defended him. I might be wrong, but I hope Cassandra is not leaving because she's got feelings for somebody else, because it seems to be a common theme amongst the Australian married at first sight couples. So you have Sara go and speak to Tim. I don't even know why she even bothered. I really don't, because at the end of the day, it seemed like she wasn't. I think she wanted to try and get him on board. That way, by the time they go to the experts, they're on the same book. And when the experts try to drag her, he can defend her. And sadly, that's not what she did. Instead, she alienated him further, because she became very defensive. Instead of apologizing, I'm so sorry about what I did. I know how negatively it affected you. I am so sorry for my actions. I never thought of your feelings. I was more concerned about seeing my ex, trying to see if there was still anything there, or if there's nothing there, making sure I give you 100%, because I could see a possibility of a future with you, but I just wanted to make sure that I was done completely with my ex. That's something she should have said. But instead, she went there and she tried to be very defensive and didn't actually apologize, and then had the nerve to storm out. And it's like, seriously, I think she thought that Tim would just be his normal submissive self and would just accept whatever she threw his way and just be like, okay, let's move on, let's try and make things work. But for him to sort of say to her, this is unacceptable. You said you lied to me. You went to meet up with your ex. You actually looked for an amazing dress to make an impression on him. Oh, it wasn't about the outfit. It wasn't. Well, it is part of it, because if you don't have any feelings, or if you're not concerned about somebody's sort of reaction towards you, you don't need to look for a special dress. You just go wearing whatever you're wearing, and you sit down and you talk, and that's it. You could be wearing jogging bottoms. You could be wearing your gym outfit, but you wanted to be so presentable to him, to make this impression on him. So I give Tim credit for standing his ground and saying, this is unacceptable and I will not tolerate it. And the fact that you're not apologizing, you didn't check up on me yesterday, is just making things worse for you. And I think this is why she stormed out, because she realized that, oh, I'm never going to be able to get him on my side, so I better be prepared for the commitment ceremony and what the experts are going to say. So everybody comes to the commitment ceremony, and people obviously are anxious. Those that had drama are anxious because their drama is about to be sort of questioned, and others are just there to celebrate their relationships. So first up is Timothy and Lucinda. And Lucinda is the cheerleader you want in any funny situation because she's always going to big you up regardless of what you're doing. And then if she needs to tell you off, she's going to tell you off with a calming force that you don't explode. So they got to the couch and they were asked, how have you been going? And Tim, I think, didn't want to say anything. And they kept pushing it towards Lucinda. And I give Lucinda a lot of credit because instead of taking the moment and making it about herself, she decided to let him speak because she wanted him to reveal whatever he wanted to reveal. If he didn't want to say anything, that's the impression that I got. Then she was happy with that. So to see him sit there and sort of appreciate and sort of talk about the fact that, you know, I had this breakdown, and Lucinda said, no, you didn't have a breakdown. You had a breakthrough. There's a difference. You had a breakthrough. And I said it last week. He had a breakthrough. It's not a breakdown because he's been having these walls. He's been holding on to his grief as a way to justify his actions. And suddenly for him to have a moment whereby he realizes that holding on to the grief is not helping him and that there are people around him that love him and want to care for him. And all he's doing is sort of shutting them away every time he sort of goes into one of his sort of dark spaces. And so it was cute to see. Even Tori started crying because she said he made me cry. I don't think she ever expected to feel emotional about him. So to get an understanding of who he is as a person, I hope if nothing else, this allows her to grow as well and to realize that maybe he wasn't being malicious when he was trying to help her and tell her that Jack is not your person. You need to move on. Maybe he was just being empathetic towards someone that he felt was a part of a group or someone he held in high regard. Am I surprised that they both wrote stay? No. Lucinda said all she wants is a hug a day, and which is not asking for a lot. It's not asking for a lot, and I hope he takes it seriously, and I hope he works on it and he gives her what she wants, because even John said to him, all she's asking for is a hug a day. Try and give her a hug a day, and she'll be great. Jaden and Eden, for me, I'm a bit suspect in the sense that every week they talk about somebody else except themselves. When they talk about themselves, they are always, oh, we're doing very well, we're falling in love, we're this, that, and the other. But they never go in depth about their connection. They're quick to give their opinions about other couples, but we don't get to hear about them as a couple. And the fact that, Sara texted Eden and told her she was going to see her ex and she was asking for an item of clothing to wear, and Eden knew that Jaden had seen this message and was threatening to tell Timothy. I don't get why she didn't go back to Sara and say to her, Jaden has seen your message and he's threatening to tell Timothy. If I were you, I would tell Tim in advance. That way they would have avoided all this drama. I think they did it more for their attention than for them looking out for Timothy. I think if they were looking out for Tim, they should have pulled him aside. They should have had a conversation with him and told him that this is what your partner is doing, and then left them to sort of deal with it. But I think they tried to use it to be in the mix, because otherwise, without the Sara situation, there was nothing going on with them. So I think they were looking for something to still keep them in the midst of drama, but not have a negative impact on them as a couple. I don't know whether what I'm saying makes sense, but hey, I hope you get what I mean. So I don't get, our values align, this has brought us closer. How has it brought you closer? The fact that you broke down a relationship, that is not bringing you closer. The fact that you were inconsiderate of the person who was cheated on, his feelings, you made it about yourselves and not about Timothy. Had you focused on what Timothy wanted in his relationship, had you focused on what Timothy was sort of feeling at the time, then I would have more patience and more empathy for the two of you. I have no feelings in regards of the two of you, whether or not you stay or leave. I'm indifferent. Anyway, they both choose to stay. Am I surprised? No. Next up is Cassandra and Tristan. I get where Cassandra's coming from. I really do. I was struggling to sort of understand at first, but Tristan says he's falling in love with her. He says, he really thinks they're doing great and he wants to stay in the experiment, and, he feels she's been a great support system for him, and he feels the experts did an amazing job. And so I think I'm going to try and sort of read between the lines. I think what Cassandra is saying is, yes, he says he's falling in love, but is it a romantic love, or is it a sort of a friendship, companionship love, whereby, you know, this is someone you like as a friend, but you don't see anything romantic growing? Because I think she says she doesn't have feelings for him because she's turned herself off. She switched herself off because she's been trying and trying for 6 to 7 weeks to sort of get this man to sort of be intimate or make some sort of moves to show that he's romantically attracted to her, and he has sort of kept her at arm's length. So she doesn't understand what type of love he's talking about, because for her, romantic love is someone you want to spend time with, someone you want to sort of strip their clothes off them, someone you can't stop kissing, hugging, and whatever else you do with someone you're romantically attracted to and you're falling in love with, and they are not there. And I think this is why she's thinking, I don't understand where you are. If you are saying you're romantically attracted to me or you're romantically falling in love with me, your actions don't show it. Your words might say it, but your actions don't show it. And I don't want to stay around to have you fall further in love with me and then have you so confused in the sense that you don't know what's going on, because you're saying this is the first time you've told a girl you love them in a romantic sense. So what do you mean by you love me? What is it in particular? Do you love my companionship on a friendship basis? Do you love my support on a friendship basis? Or do you love me and you want to, tear my clothes off me? You want to ravage me? What is it in particular that you love? And I think until he can articulate that to her, he's going to lose her. John was right to say, if you're not careful, you're going to lose her. And am I surprised she wrote leave? No. I think she's trying to do what she thinks is in his best interest. I said this before and I'll say it again. I wish the more experienced guys in sort of on the show would sit him down and sort of have conversations with him and sort of parent him in a way that he hasn't been parented. What I mean is sort of talk to him about the birds and the bees, relationships, the type of love that sort of exists in relationships. You could see everybody's heart was breaking for him. Even Cassandra was reluctant to come to the couch. And when she came to the couch, you could see she was sort of struggling emotionally to sort of say what she wanted to say or to process what she was trying to process in regards her connection or her understanding of where they stand as a couple. So I hope in this week he doesn't feel demoralized. They still have a week. They had a week and she put in the work, he put in the work, and they stayed. So hopefully in this week he has to sit down and understand that Cassandra is not asking him to buy her the most expensive gifts. He's not asking her to take her on the most expensive dates. All she's asking is for her to hug him, for her to kiss him, for him to show that he's romantically attracted to her, and she will stay. But if he doesn't do that, then she's out the door. And I give her credit for wanting to protect her heart. He tried to leave because he was scared, but for her, I think she's trying to think of not only herself but of him, and is trying to protect his heart from falling in love with her when he's not sure what type of love he's in. I feel so sorry for Andy and Richie in the sense that the fallout from Richie's comment has really sort of sunk into their relationship and has put them at a standstill, whereby they're struggling to move on and struggling to sort of find a way to sort of see how they can go back to where they are, where they were, or sort of how they can jump forward and sort of move away from this tense place. In the sense that I think because Andy shut down as soon as Richard said what he did, she struggled to sort of move on, even though her friend tried to get her to move on, even though her friend tried to give them sort of a level of understanding. And I think she's now looking for faults with Richard just because she doesn't know whether to trust him or not. And so for her to say, oh, he's this, that, and the other, and to sort of make negative comments, Richard is right to say, you're sort of going against what you've been saying. You've been saying, I've been very patient, I've been caring, I've been loving. And so for you to then say I'm impatient, it doesn't make sense. And so I give the experts credit for saying the two of you are struggling to understand each other. I hope they have a one-to-one session with the experts without the rest of the group, and I think this will be very helpful for them. Yes, they are the oldest couple in the experiment, but doesn't that doesn't mean they have all the experience needed to make a relationship work. This is why they are where they are, and they need just as much sort of input as the rest of the participants. I think they need it away from the rest of the group. I think they would be more receptive if the experts were to sort of visit them the way they did Cassandra and Tristan when they were struggling, and I hope they do that for them. They both agreed to stay, so I hope they can take time out and sort of go back to the beginning where they started from and try and see if they can retrieve their marriage or repair their relationship and be in a better place. Next up is Lauren and Jono. And surprise, surprise, there is no drama or beef with them. They just said, we were doing very well. We actually had the time to have a conversation and actually see what was in our best interest as a couple. So we're in a very good place and we feel very happy. Am I surprised? No. I really have nothing to say about Lauren and Jono just because I know Jono is dating Ellie, so I feel like he was wasting Lauren's time. Lauren didn't deserve this. He should have just told her as soon as Ellie left that he wanted to leave, but hey, I guess he wanted the extra viewers or the extra followers on Instagram, so he decided to stay with her. They both wrote stay. Am I surprised? No. I don't know. I think their idea of what they want in a relationship is totally different. So I guess they might as well just stay and get the benefits of being on the show because they both see that there's nothing romantic there. It's the ship has sailed. The moment Jonas sat there and watched, Jack belittle his wife and sort of say derogatory terms, I think that's when the ship sailed and they just decided to stay just for the followers. Next up is Ridge and Jade. They are in a very good place. I'm pleasantly surprised that they're doing so well. I expected it to be drama. I expected Ridge to get on Jade's nerves, but somehow she's bringing out the best side of him. They talk about the fact that he met her daughter and he's ecstatic about it, and she loved the fact that he was able to relate to her daughter and sort of meet her at where she is, and he seemed to have made a very good impression, which is amazing. Am I surprised they both wrote stay? No. At the couples retreat, they minded their business, and when Jack tried to bring Ridge in, Ridge was like, no, my name is Ain't. I ain't been in that business, so please leave me alone. So I really love this for them. I'm pleasantly surprised that they're doing so well. I really am. Next up is Michael and Stephen. I really feel sorry for Michael. I really feel sorry. I think when his partner pulled out, they should have allowed him to go home. They should have left him at home, and they should never have tried to match him up with somebody else, because sadly they matched with someone who wasn't attracted to him on site and then looked for excuses so that he could get out of the nearest exit. And sadly, he tried to use the second option thing, but I think the producers told him, no, that's not going to fly. Then he kept going, and then as soon as he saw this spark, he decided to leave and say, oh, I've got a spark with somebody else. I didn't get that with Michael. I think Michael was an amazing guy. I think there's more to this than we know. I think something else must have happened that sort of caused this man to behave the way he behaved, because Michael didn't deserve it. At the wedding, he was praising Michael for being a sperm donor for his friends and saying that their values align, everything aligns, is attracted to Michael. And suddenly for him to say, I didn't get a spark, I'm not buying it. I really am not. And you could see the experts were not feeling it because they really had very positive things to say about Michael, but we didn't hear anything about Stephen, which tells you a lot. And for Stephen to leave because he's got a spark with somebody else, okay. Given the fact that he made such a big deal about his dad leaving his family and everything that happened with that, it's sad that, he's just done more or less the same thing, which is sad to say because I don't know his dad. I can only go by what he says. He said he was trying to change, he was trying to be a better person, but sadly his actions don't show that. They haven't shown that. And I don't know. I feel sorry for Michael that he's having to leave, and I feel sorry for him because he's having to endure not only being rejected by one person but by two people, because as much as he didn't get to see the first person he was matched with, that's still a rejection. And then having somebody else come into your life and say, nah, you're not it, we don't have a spark, that's still rejection. So I feel sorry for Michael, and I hope he finds his person. So next up is Jack and Tori, and you can see that people are not feeling them at all because people barely clapped, and then when they sat on the couch you could see the disappointment on the experts' faces because John went through the list. He said, I'm fed up. you came in on a dark cloud of, allegations of having an ex or having a girlfriend. You then told someone to muzzle their wife. You then called people a whale when you're an instructor. Your behavior has been appalling. And I love Cassandra saying, there's more. And so for him to want to make excuses for his behavior and want to say that he's going to learn, I don't buy it. Alexandra was right to say, Tori, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. We don't get, she was more or less saying, we don't get why you continue to be with this man. As I said at the start of this review, I'm going to say it again. Tori has realized the backlash that's going to come with the fact that Jack called people whales when he's an instructor. And this is why she's decided to draw the line. With the Lauren comments, she knew she could squirm her way out of it and still not have any backlash. But she knows this is going to come with a lot of backlash because a lot of people have body image issues. She doesn't dispute what he said, but she's putting on an act because she doesn't want to be rubbed in the same mud of this comment. And so she's trying to play innocent. She's trying to pretend as though she is very offended by what Jack said, but I don't think she is. I think she's just putting on an act. I think for her to say, you need to show me, how much more do you need to see? How much more do you need to see? He's coming on a dark cloud of allegations that he's got a girlfriend or he's got an ex on the outside that he was seeing prior to coming into the experiment. He's told people, the other husbands, that they're free to sleep with you during the wife swap. He's told someone to muzzle their wife. He's called someone a whale. What more do you need for him to do? To actually punch you then before you leave? What else can he do to sort of show you that he is not a great guy? The experts and everybody, you could see the disappointment on their faces when she said stay. You could see the disappointment. I think everybody expected her to write leave, but the fact that she wrote stay and said, oh, I still need to stay to see if he can change. How many more weeks do you need him to change? This would have been an ideal time for you to leave because people would have empathized to say, oh, you empathized with some of, the participants. Yes, Lauren is your friend, so maybe you were a bit biased and you thought she was someone who's very vocal. But Tristan hasn't said a negative thing about anyone. So the idea that someone would say negative things about Tristan and you'd be offended about it, but still choose to stay is where the question comes in, that were you seriously offended or were you doing it just for the brownie points? Which is it? I don't get it. Jack wanted to stay. He's going to stay to try and redeem himself. I don't see him redeeming himself at all. I don't think he can say anything or do anything else that will redeem him after he gave Tristan some supplement vouchers. That was the highest form of insult he could have offered Tristan. And so nothing he'll say or do will be able to redeem him. I'm sorry. I guess the experts saved the best for last because Sara and Tim were the last ones to go. I think Sara should have been matched with someone like Jack. Yes, it would have been explosive, or someone like Timothy, because she's walking all over Tim, and it's sad that she's walking over Timothy. And so they get to sit down and the experts are sort of embarrassed on her behalf and they're calling her out for her behavior. And the fact that when she was sort of cornered and sort of asked about this affair, she sort of became defensive because they asked her, when did you last date or see your ex? And she said 4 years ago. We were together on and off for 4 years, and so I haven't seen him for 2 years. And Alexandra said, but you said you slept with him a month before or a couple of weeks before you came into the experiment, so make that make sense. And then she went, oh yes, and then there was that incident. And I think, this is my opinion, I feel like, yes, they called her out for not apologizing and they gave her an opportunity to say something to Timothy, and all she said was, you put me on the spot and I'm so sorry. Yes, everyone in the other couples were right to call her out and tell her that her behavior was appalling. And every time someone tried to call her out, she told them to shut up. I don't need to hear from you. I'm only focused about Tim. And then she went into this thing of sort of interrupting Tim to say, oh, you interrupted me. I was in the middle of speaking. Now I can't remember what I was trying to say. Oh, I think she didn't want to look any worse than she did, and this is why she cut off Tim when he tried to make a point. I think her goal was always to sort of try and reinvent herself and try and sort of try and minimize the damage or try and sort of get the stink off herself. And all she did was she just made things worse. She should have allowed Tim to leave. She should have left, but she likes the celebrity that comes with being on the show. So if she's not going to get a marriage, she might as well get as much influence as she can by staying as long as she can on the show. The fact that you had Tori Tori and Jack sort of giving, you know, their own little comments, that didn't make sense to me. They should have kept their opinions to themselves because they are no better. The only thing is she cheated. Jack has actually done way worse and Tori has even done worse. So they should have kept their opinions to themselves. I give credit to everybody else. I give credit to Ridge for speaking up, but then at the same time, Jaden and Eden are sort of making it about themselves and not about Timothy, whereas someone like Ridge is more focused on Timothy and how he feels. Even Stephen made an accurate assessment to say, you say you're here for Tim, but the moment he tries to speak, you're cutting him off. So what's the purpose of you being here if you're not taking into consideration, or you're not even willing to listen to the person that you say you are more concerned about? I feel like I've said this before. She should have apologized to the group. I am very apologetic for my sort of inappropriate behavior, and I'm so sorry to Jaden for putting you. I'm so sorry to Eden for putting you in that position. I had no right to put you in such a vulnerable position whereby I expected you to keep my secret. And to my husband, I want to sincerely apologize. Yesterday I was overwhelmed, I was embarrassed, I was humiliated. So I was just trying to escape and just trying to sort of take myself away from the situation. But now that I've had time to think, I want to sincerely apologize to you for my behavior. It is unacceptable for me to behave the way I behaved and to expect you to move on. Yes, I cheated on you. This is ABCDE is what I did. It's unacceptable for a married woman to be in that situation. Yes, I've moved on from my ex and I should have done, or my actions should have shown that I have moved on from him. I sincerely apologize for hurting your feelings. I sincerely apologize for abandoning you and leaving you there, not knowing where I was or how I felt about the situation. I'm very apologetic for how insensitive I came across, and I hope you can give me an opportunity to try and make amends and try and sort of get us back into a better space. I care about you. I'm developing feelings for you, and I want to make sure that I protect your heart and I don't do anything that is likely to break your heart or is likely to cause you pain. I think that's all she should have said and ended at that. I give it to the experts for holding her feet to the fire. I give it to the other couples for holding her feet to the fire, irregardless of whatever drama they're facing. And I can't wait to see what happens. Apparently, it's going to be explosive tomorrow. So, hey, there's that to come. Anyway, thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 24. Bye, guys.